Okay, everybody, it's 8:15 on Tuesday morning, and I'd like to call the Whatcom Public Utility District #1 meeting to order. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's go over our agenda today. Are there any modifications or changes to our agenda?
Yes, we do have a walk-on item for approval of benefits, and Lisa will lead that discussion.
Okay, and that'll be under new business?
That's correct.
So it'll be new business C, approval of benefits.
I move to approve the agenda with the change of adding discussion benefits.
And we're proposing an adjourn time of 11:35, but we'll see how the meeting goes. Is there a second?
I'll second, yes.
As a motion and a second, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda. Hey, we have 2 minutes to approve, right, the special commission meeting. Okay, so we're approving 2 minutes of special commission meeting as well as our last regular meeting of August 5th, as well as the claims. Are there any comments or modifications?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's move on to public comment.
Nothing here. There's blueberries there, help yourself.
That's an excellent comment. I see no hands raised. We have.
Exciting, Eddie, go for it.
Yeah.
We have a-
Where'd you pick those? Those are
On.
nice,
Secret.
fresh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll wait till after the meeting. I don't want, yeah.
You are wearing a whitish shirt. So we'll have a second public comment period at the end. So please feel free to comment at that point. Let's begin with the general manager's report then.
All right, thank you, commissioners. Just a reminder, I know we talked about this before, but my jury duty starts next Tuesday. Just as an aside, I've been picked for jury duty everywhere I've lived, what the minimum frequency is until here. And this is the first time I've been tagged here, so. If this goes through to form, it'll be a call-in thing next week and I'll just be here the whole week. If on the other hand, they call me for a jury, we'll let you know what's going on.
Nobody
But,
ever picks me. I never get picked.
I never forget.
Yeah.
I've been impaneled at least a dozen times and I've been sequestered 3 times.
Oh.
So, yeah, I get tagged all the time and we'll see what happens, but that's a lot of fun. Second thing is, we're far along in our financial audit by SAO and the performance audit. And the exit interview is scheduled for Friday, September 19th. We'd like only one commissioner to be there. That's what we've done in the past. That would be my request. If more than one wants to attend, you can. We just need to do public notice and it becomes a public meeting. So if you, we'll present the results of the exit interview in the next commission meeting, which we normally do anyway. So just want to throw that out. Is there any appetite for?
I think I've done it. Jamie, you've
I've
done
done
it.
it, yep.
And Eddie, would you like to do it?
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and then Eddie, we can review on, because Annette's been working on this for, I don't know, 6-8 months now. And we can brief you on all the little pieces of it before the exit meeting, so you know what to expect.
That'll be nice. That's my first one.
Yeah. So last week, shifting subjects altogether, I had the honor of going to a conference over in Idaho, and it was mostly for investor-owned utilities, all electric, so that there was only a little bit of discussion of water. And I wanted to bring back a lot of the information some of it was, a little surprising to me, some of it was, you know, you get a whole bunch of elected people in a room together and surprise, surprise, you get a bit of an echo chamber. So there was some of that. One thing that I will tell you, I spent Susan Petty, who's the CEO of Hero, which is our consultant we're using for geothermal project. She was there speaking on a panel of next generation technologies, along with Ryan Umstead from Zap Energy on the fusion side. There was a fellow from Bright House, and talk about that in a little bit. And who else? So there was two people that represented different next generation small modular reactor firms. So it was really interesting. The night before that, Susan was there at the reception and we got talking and she gave me a whole bunch of information on geothermal that I didn't have because I just hadn't talked to her in a month and things are changing. The long and the short of it is that, you know, you think about the challenges that we've got in enhanced geothermal, and it's really operating at depth and at temperature. That's the problem. So you've got to be able to drill and case and then frack down at depth. And this is in hot, dry rock. So the dilemma there is that when you're at depth, you know, obviously you're remote drilling and you don't have any you can't see the drill head and see where it's going and all that, so you're directing it. The drill head itself, the modern technology used for oil and gas exploration, which is the foundation for all this stuff, those drill heads start failing above 200 degrees C. And when you think about that, if you're down at 200 degrees C, you're not finding oil and gas. That's all gone. And so they don't go there. So they're never worried about developing it. The casing that you install fails once you get about above 250 C. And the grout, the cement you use around the casing, fails at about 200 degrees C. So those are the three main technologies that have been used for deep drilling. And for us, you know, the issue is we don't necessarily need to go deep, we need to go hot. And it turns out you end up needing both. You need to go fairly deep to get hot to begin with. So her message to me was on the material for drill heads. There have been a number of breakthroughs, and now it looks like they've got some drill heads that are commercially available that can go down to about 380 degrees C. So that gets you almost into the high enthalpy range. So very, very, very close to exactly what we need for the future. Apparently there's some composite grout that's been developed that Fervo has tested in Nevada, and that stuff is good to well over 400 C. They don't even know how hot it's good for. So they think they have.
By the way, all these temperatures been Celsius?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, when you talk to the actual scientists, they give them all to you in Kelvin, but then you've got to take 271 off of it to get to Celsius. And so I just use Celsius or 273, pardon me, to get off of there. But third technology was the casing. And those have traditionally been metallic casings, you know, stainless steel, that kind of thing. And again, those tend to, if you have them at temperature for a long period of time, they soften up. So that's the best way to put it. The metal grains begin to grow over time, and the metal begins to deform and eventually caves in. So the solution has been better metals. And so then all of a sudden you start talking about metals that don't deform at temperature, and you're looking at things that are based in titanium, which then become
Very
you know,
expensive.
very expensive, tens of thousands of dollars for a 20-foot stick. And anyway, so the message that she had for me was they've also apparently gotten through that with some composite materials, largely based on graphite. So it looks like in the future, we've got the drill head issue fixed, and I talked about material drill head, talked about immaterial drill heads in a minute. We've got the casing more or less fixed. We've got the grout for sure fixed. So it looks like there's that. On the drill head side, there's a company called Quays that appears to have perfected a millimeter wave drill bit. So essentially, think about it as a microwave laser that they're dropping down in there, and it's vaporizing the rock in front of it. And so it doesn't matter how hot the drill bit is. So, and that appears to work. So, you know, there, if you wanted to reach 600 or 700 degrees C, we'll at least have a drill head that should be able to do it. Now, the other message that Susan had for the entire group, which was kind of interesting, was the problem that we've got at the bottom of the hole is telemetry. So the instrument packages that you drop down there to get the geochemistry, to get the temperature gradients, to get the condition of the borehole, all that kind of stuff. All of those instrument packages fail at about 200 C. So, below where you want to go. And there's apparently an instrument package that's developed at the Idaho National Labs that's good to about 380 C. But the problem is there's so little demand for it, it sits in the lab. And it's one of the defunded programs this year. So Susan is trying to get the Idaho National Labs to transfer it to Lawrence Livermore Labs in Berkeley and then have them maintain the instrument package. And then at some point, there'll be, a number of these companies out there drilling enough holes that there will actually be demand for the instrument package and people start manufacturing them. And then you'll get the stepwise improvements up to much higher temperatures and everything else. So that was really interesting. On on that same panel, and again, this was the second day, there were a couple of representatives of fast fission reactors, and by fast, I mean non-moderated neutrons, non-thermal neutrons. So they use fast neutrons to split atoms, and they use typically something other than water as a coolant. And so
Like helium being in that category.
helium was one.
They would be in that category of fast.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Yep. And also all of the molten salt reactors are fast reactors. And aside from the conversation here, all of the water reactors, the light water reactors that are used in the West, they slow the neutrons down, and then the neutrons are absorbed by the nuclei that are going to split. They're going to fission.
Oh, you said fission, I'm sorry.
Yeah, not fusion, fission.
Fusion, okay.
And fast reactors, on the other hand, do not moderate the neutrons. They don't slow them
Oh,
down.
no, I understand what you're saying, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's a different design. It's far safer, less proliferation risk, much less waste, passive safety and all that. So anyway, on the fission, those guys were there. Fusion was Zap Energy, Ryan Umstead, and unfortunately, from my perspective, he began to walk back a little bit their timing. So they were one of the ones that originally was saying commercialization 27, 28, and now he's saying before 2035. So I don't know if that means they've hit a kink, or their balance of plant is not working as well as the reactor itself. I'm not sure what it is, and he wasn't willing to discuss, but he did walk that back a little bit. So there was that. And then the last piece on the new technologies was I think they were named Bright House, or I think it was Bright House from California. And their model is really simple. They go to a homeowner and they would say, gosh, we want to lease space in your garage and on your roof to put a battery in your garage and solar panel on your roof. And it's a iron oxide based battery, not a lithium ion. But then what they do is they go into an area and they try and saturate the area, and they get 1,000, 10,000 homes done like that. And what you end up with is a virtual power plant. So the people who own the home, they still have to pay their normal utility bill. And then they get a lease payment for this virtual power plant on their house. And then Bright House runs it as a virtual power plant, and they can actually bid into markets. They can enter into power purchase agreements with the utility. And what they guarantee the homeowner is that if they have an outage, that they will maintain a state of charge on the battery so they can ride through the outage for a certain number of hours. And I don't remember what they said. It was significant, 10 or 12. It was, get you through a fairly long outage. So that was there. I've run into these guys before, and they're very effective, and their model is good, and it works in California and Texas.
Can't do it here.
Yeah, and they tried, and
We can't do it here, though.
that's right, that's where I was going. It requires enabling legislation for CCAs, for consumer
Aggregators, something.
the aggregators, yeah, I forget, customer choice aggregation, CCA. And it requires enabling legislation for that. So more to follow on that. It's when you think about, well, okay, so some of the other things I wanna talk about. I'm gonna go all over the place, but there were a whole lot of different CEOs and expert people. One of the things that was talked about in 3 or 4 of the sessions was the resource adequacy program, the RAP. And that basically says, as a utility, you're obligated to bring enough generation to the table to serve your own load. And that is a requirement. And then if something happens with your generation, a plant goes unexpectedly offline or something like that, if you're in the RAP and you're in a balancing area, energy imbalance market in EIM, which almost everybody is now, you're able to buy off somebody else because everybody else has adequacy. So that's the idea behind a RAP. And this is a common characteristic of utility markets across the country. The reason we don't have a formal RAP here is because we're bilateral markets. We don't have an organized market. So the issue is that the RAP right now is voluntary, and the RAP members, of which Puget Sound Energy is one, are not getting any RAP compliant offers for capacity after 2027. Zero. They're getting nothing. And that's troubling. My guess, and it's just a guess, is that's probably being all soaked up by data centers. The data centers are saying, hey, utility's gonna pay you $100 a megawatt hour for this, and we're gonna go ahead and pay you $500 a megawatt hour, because we don't care. That's not a huge part of our cost structure, and we just need service in 18 months, so build the power plant right in the middle of our data center, we're not even gonna interconnect. And that appears to be what is happening. So that was kind of an aha moment. One interesting thing, the CEO of Pacific Core was there, and they were talking about, didn't say anything about the RAP, one way or the other, just she was, all this is, we want to be a good utility. And that was during a wildfire discussion. And it was curious because about 3 weeks ago, Warren Buffett, the owner of Pacific Core, Berkshire Hathaway, made the comment that if he'd known 5 or 10 years ago what he knows now, they would have got into the business because of the wildfire obligation. So it was kind of interesting that the CEO of Pacific Core just came out and said, yep, we want to be a great utility. And that was kind of the end of it. And that seemed to be comments for the shareholders, not necessarily for the group. And then Randy Hardy, who was the administrator for BPA, I think he was also the Seattle City Light.
On the comment from Pacific Core is a little bit of, it implies many things are unsaid. That's more
Yes.
information what she didn't say than what she did.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it was said with a smile, so it was kind of entertaining, and got a chuckle out of the whole crowd. So I think everybody kind of got it. Randy Hardy spoke at length on the RAP and said that it needs to succeed. And his comment was, we won't have the needed transmission by 2030. Not going to happen. Maybe by 2035. And then he reiterated the Boardman to Hemingway line is the only significant transmission line in the Pacific Northwest in the last 15 years. And I've got a couple more comments later on about that. Randy also had gone ahead and looked at hydro adequacy. And as I said, he's kind of an expert on the RAP and everything. And his observation was, if hydro happens again at the 1977 or 2001 levels, which were both very low hydro years, they were down in the 50% exceedance. And he said, if that happens, the lights go out in the Pacific Northwest. And people asked him a lot of questions about that. And he said, what don't you understand? At best, you're going to have rolling blackouts. And that would be if the rest of the West comes to the rescue of the Pacific Northwest. So the hydro that we've got is truly a critical resource. Talked about that. The last thing that we had was a panel of CEOs. Had the CEO of Puget, Pacific Core, Avista, and Idaho, and Elliot Mainzer from Cal ISO, and then Jessica Matlock is CEO of PNGC, which is a generation and transmission cooperative out of Portland that serves about 2 million customers through 18 cooperatives that they supply. And they asked a bunch of questions of them, and it was kind of humorous to hear some of the answers, but when it came to growth, over in Idaho, they're experiencing 8 to 10% growth now per year. So Mary, the CEO of Puget Sound Energy, she said that the growth rate that they're expecting in Puget is not as high as that, but it's very high historically. And the published numbers should be taken as a floor, not a ceiling. So her observation was, all these things that are like the PNUC mid case, for instance, should be considered the floor, not like a base case or anything, but really it's going to take off from that.
So we need to change our projections to be more aggressive as far as growth, load growth.
Well, I mean, you can change the projections for that, but it doesn't help you on the supply side, because even with the current projections of growth, there's not enough supply. So it's an issue. Jessica, for her group, it was 4 to 6 gigawatts of growth and demand per year, and that was from data centers alone. Elliot Mainzer had a really interesting perspective on that. His perspective was the data centers are going to be your most flexible loads, because if you run into problems locally, and for the data centers, the hyperscalers, the term local means Pacific Northwest. That's local. You're actually going to have data centers in the East, in Asia, in Canada, in the South, that they can shift load to. And so for them, if we end up in an issue where those new data centers are causing some of these load problems, they would be the ones that would be likely to go down in load to almost nothing, just base cooling, because they could shift their computational load to other data centers around the world. I don't know if he's right or not. That's Elliot Mainzer's the CEO of CalISO.
Yeah, so what if we were to require that data centers in the Northwest enter into agreements with the regional grid that require them to curtail use and supply power to the grid when people need it?
Well, so just from a practical matter, number one, we don't have an RTO, which would be the grid. So there's nobody for them to have that agreement with except their local balancing authority utility. So again, we're balkanized, and that's the problem.
Yeah, but we're on the way to an RTO.
Well, yeah, it's 5 to 10 years out. It'll be after this stuff is already.
After the
big problem.
crisis.
Yeah.
But there could be an agreement like that with the utility.
There could, very likely the hyperscaler would just simply go off grid, or they would locate somewhere else.
Yeah, but if we pass laws that make that an impossibility, you think they just go to another country, or you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, these guys they're fungible. Don't move. The other thing,
We're at war with data centers, unfortunately.
I mean, if they could just build another country, why would they want to do it here at all?
because of the prevalence of the AI engineers, they're all, well, not all of them, but a lot. And we're kind of ground zero for AI.
Right.
So that's, they're trying to build them here because here's where the load is. Here's also all the firms that are using the cloud. They're all right here. And the data centers are looking at it going, well, gosh, if we have submarine fiber optic cables or satellite links that link North America to the rest of the world, those links can all be cut and broken by malicious actors. And we've seen that in the last 18 months. So, there's a good reason to have to distribute your data center computational power.
That situation.
Where, yeah, it's an interesting problem we've got.
But there is other reasons for them wanting to locate here such that, it could be feasible that they would, versus do it here at all or not, they'd accept some conditions around demand response. And to, ensure that.
There's like 8 hyperscalers, and then there's a whole bunch of people that are just building one-off data centers. Hyperscaler is someone who builds many more than one data center, and the issue there is you get a different answer probably from each one, and it would require detailed negotiations with NDAs and everything else, so it's gonna take time. So, I mean, that's the problem. It's all about time. And, and lastly, on that particular question, Cindy Crane observed that, she believes that in the Pacific Northwest, summer and winter peaks are gonna converge, which is, you know, for someone who's an old planning engineer, that's like, no, you know, that'll never happen. And so,
When you say converge, we have an equivalent size.
yep. Yep. And what that means is that you don't have a season where your generation is down.
Well, it's spring and fall.
Well, that's not what we're observing. You know, that's when you end up in all kinds of other problems with solar and wind and hydro and, you know, it's really summer and winter that you can depend on mostly everything. And your shoulder months are becoming the only place where you can possibly do maintenance on either lines or plants, and it's becoming difficult. In California, that was strongly summer peaking when I was there, and you know, we counted on the winter. That's when we reconducted transmission lines and built and brought online and maintained power plant. It was incredible. So I think she's right. One of the questions that came up was, with this one group was, what's gonna happen, the convergence of natural gas. We had another panel that talked about the natural gas industry and the electric generation industry and how tightly tied they've become and interdependent. And that was interesting. And Elliot Mainzer, he thought that natural gas was gonna go to about $7 a decatherm at the Henry Hub, which would be about $9 to $10 a decatherm at Sumas, which is the one that serves us. And I've been there before, and you know, it just keeps, it goes up a little bit and then it comes down a little bit. And we've been between 250 and 4 a decatherm ever since, gosh, I don't know, since fracking started, about 2012, 2013 is when it dropped down to that rate. It's kind of been there. The question was, are the LNG exports going to drive the market price up? If they do, then your marginal cost to generate goes up. And everybody on the panel agreed that we're probably going to have to build some gas generation here in the Pacific Northwest to get through the next 2 decades. And there wasn't any other way to do it.
With turned on or without, or steady state? Base load natural gas or
Yeah.
variable output natural gas?
No, you need more base, you need dispatchable natural gas in order to integrate more renewables to deal with this load that we're seeing. You need them both.
Need both,
They
both
can't,
base load as well as dispatchable. Is what you're saying? Is that what the group would say?
yes.
Okay.
Well, they would say you need dispatchable units. They don't differentiate between base load and non-base load. They're dispatchable. So when you need them, you just turn them on and they respond. And their ramp rates and everything else, but basically they're there when you need them. Not solar's there when the sun shines, you can mitigate that somewhat with storage and all that, but the issue is that you're gonna need that. Cindy Crane, more resources will come on than are expected. So this was one of the questions that was asked was, you know, what's gonna happen because of the big beautiful bill? And so part of it was, I'm sorry. go ahead.
No, I'm just getting super depressed. I'm like, oh, now he's mentioning the big beautiful bill.
Well, it was a heck of a conference. So the question was, what impact is that gonna have on the generation, the new generation field? And it was kind of a mixed bag. The Jessica Matlock was, well, if it's not already in the queue, if you don't already have the thing well into the queue, you can't make the 2027, 2028 deadlines to get your tax credits. So she thinks there's gonna be a cliff where people just stop applying for utility scale wind, offshore wind, utility scale solar, utility scale storage, because they can't make any money at it after the subsidy's gone. The flip side of that was Cindy, who thought way more resources are gonna come on than what we expect, because people will now rush to get everything in the queue, and they'll force Bonneville to actually change the way that they manage the queue. I'd say good luck on that, but we'll see. And then a couple of them just said there's absolutely no way no way to predict. They have no idea what's gonna happen, and what they expect is that people who had plans to move forward are gonna move forward or not. And it's gonna be an individual choice by the investors that back each project. And then I think it was. Yeah, I've already talked about all that. The last question was around transmission. So the Boardman to Hemingway line, the measure that the transmission planners look at is megawatt miles. So if you have a 1,000 megawatt line that goes 100 miles, it's 100,000 megawatt miles. So that's how you think about that.
Multiply the two.
The Boardman to Hemingway line is about 400,000 megawatt miles. And remember, that's the only one in 20 years. The analysis that was done by a number of folks indicates we need about 700,000 megawatt miles per year to be built between now and 2035. And so it was interesting, when the panel was asked, how much could be built, Elliott Mainzer down in California was, oh, we can build it all, it's gonna be just fine, whatever you need, it's gonna happen. Maybe true inside California. I'm not sure. It wasn't when I was there. Lisa, Mary, and Cindy all said it's gonna be about 700,000, and that was before they were told that was kind of the output of the analysis, although we probably already knew that. So they were all saying yes. Jessica Matlock said 0. None will be built. I think that.
How can they be so far apart?
Well, I think all the others were, except for Elliott, were representing investor-owned utilities. And so you couldn't say we are not going to make it in front of an open mic when you have shareholders. That'd be an SEC problem. So I think they were saying that everything's gonna be fine. Jessica, on the other hand, runs a G&T co-op. And yeah, she's got shareholders per se, but not governed by the SEC. And so she's free to speak her mind. And so her opinion was the Pacific Northwest is not going to build any significant transmission lines in that time period.
That seems to be closer to reality, right? Is it possible to do it? Yeah, but
Yeah. I
will we
think
be able to now?
some will get built. I don't think it'll be as much as we need. And I think that there will be some distributed solutions that take the pressure off of the need to build transmission, such as, Bright House. If we get CCAs, and you can actually have source at the load, you don't need the transmission. So there's things that can happen. Strategically siting storage can help, where you don't need to build new lines. Getting fusion or fission in a distributed fashion, where it's on the right side of the Cascades, our side, the west side of the Cascades, that would eliminate the need for a lot of these lines. So I think that, in the next decade, what we're gonna see is it's gonna be more and more desperate, and you're gonna see more and more of these solutions that wouldn't have been contemplated 5 years ago, where people go, okay, I get it, we gotta do that.
More
And-
trash,
What's it?
more externalities.
Yes.
What's interesting to me is that, and I suppose, like, I've been a consumer of electric for a lot of years, right? Like, I also lived off grid for a lot of years, but consumers have no idea the problem that we're having. Like, I see people online all of the time that are like, oh, PG&E or, PSE or whatever is asking us to save our power, screw that, I pay for power. Like, that's a conversation that people are having all the time. And, I don't feel comfortable saying, well, if you don't, like, nobody's gonna have power, if you don't save your power. How do we educate consumers? I guess it just happens to hurt. We just have to find out the hard way.
And we start talking about conservation.
Yeah, and I don't know why we stopped having more conversations about conservation. That's
In
not even
California. So I was there for a long time, and we spent 20 years educating the public and getting conservation, working with the Master Builders Association, change building code. I mean, there's a billion things that PG&E did. And it all made a difference. And then we finally had the West Coast energy crisis. And what we found was that once you got two things happened. Prices more than doubled, and so it went well over 50 cents a kilowatt hour for the residential homeowner. I guess that's a redundant statement for the homeowners. And and we had rolling blackouts because there wasn't enough. And all of a sudden, we found the demand was elastic. So, you know, it really, the conservation and the education helped, but it wasn't until, you know, we actually had a crisis that people kind of got it and started behaving differently. And I think that a lot of the changes that were made in California going through that crisis were semi-permanent. So it was kind of, once people woke up, it's like, okay, we get it, we can't do that, you know, we do have to.
Turn off the lights.
Well, you buy the washing machine that actually talks to your smart meter that finds out from the utility when it's a good time to run. And you load it up and you let it sit, and then in the middle of the night or whenever the power is available, well, now middle of the day in California, it would actually run. And that's, you know, that kind of behavior, that's not, most customers will not do that kind of behavior voluntarily. You just gotta put a lot of pressure on it. No.
They have to feel the pain.
Yep.
The human condition.
So they're gonna do this next year again. It was phenomenal, and this was their first, so I would highly recommend that we send somebody next year, and I'd be happy to go. It was really a good, as I say, mostly IOU. There were a bunch of public power people there, but the bulk of it was directed at the investor-owned world. So I just downloaded a ton of stuff to you guys.
Yeah, super depressing. Thank you for that.
I think educational too. It's
Yeah.
better to know what yeah, so I found that to be very interesting,
Yeah,
report, so thank you
it
for
was a
that.
very interesting report.
There was a little bit of morning education in our commission meeting. Any questions or comments?
Tons of questions. right?
Yeah, I mean, we covered a lot of ground there. A lot of rabbit holes we could go down, so, I do have, yeah, I guess, well, I'm not, for sake of time today. What we need to, I'd love to talk to you more about this, Chris, but no, that is really helpful to, hear the perspective of what, you know, what other folks in the utilities are, what they're seeing. Do you wanna?
Well, I'm just, I mean, Jamie, you've mentioned it there's this increased tension between the data center pack and the rest of the residential utility demands, and it's just important to just be aware of that, and if there's a way for us all to get along, because we're not going to get rid of the hungry mouths situation and figure out how to work together beneficially. That would be really a good thing. I don't know if there's any bridge builders out there trying to make that happen between those two communities, but I would very much hope that somebody's doing that.
Well, I think some of the stuff that I forwarded you guys that's come out of FERC with regards to market rules and things like that are aimed squarely at this problem. So at the federal level, it's being addressed. I think at the local level, it's being addressed differently by each utility data center pair. And I'm just not sure that, you know, anything we could do at the state level would be helpful. And it might actually be harmful. Add one more layer that you have to go through, another opportunity for NIMBYs to jump in and oppose it and muck it up. So the Fed seem to be doing a decent job of it, but they rely on where you have organized markets, which the West does not. And each one of the individual utilities that's entering into contracts with these guys are doing it differently. But like Umatilla, for instance, they are looking at curtailable load, and the data centers are agreeing to that.
So, you know, maybe the best thing for us to do is to, in our small weight that we carry, and certainly try to get like-mindedness to, in the Energy Committee at WPUDA, in the upcoming September meetings through, and in future, including Energy Northwest and other places, to encourage the rapidest possible pathway to, getting to an RTO. Because that will help bolster transmission, that'll help,
Help everything.
it'll help bolster collaboration. So maybe that's a question to you for not today, but for a future, maybe maybe our next meeting in September, if anything. Occurs to you about what we can do to encourage that as a topic, that will put us, certainly you in the general manners committee and us in the commissioner related. Community government relations.
So let me just make an observation that where you have RTOs around the country, what happened was you first got the RTO and then the market evolved on top of it. What we're doing here in the West is the exact opposite. We're creating the market and then the RTO will develop below it. And the debate that we've got is who runs the market? Does the West run the market for the benefit of the West, or does California run the West market for the benefit of California? And Bonneville has settled on, no, we need to have the West minus California, if that's what needs to be. The same way that in the Midwest, you've got SPP and MISO, and then Texas is its own, and everybody's, oh, seems, and they freak out about that. You know what? I mean, it's been made to work everywhere else in the country. We're smart enough. We can figure this out. So, if California wants to be a whole other country electrically, let them. Let them. And so I agree that we need an RTO, and I think the right way to do it here, because of the steps we've already taken, is, encourage the completion of the Western market, both the day ahead and the and in fact, the SPP Markets Plus is day ahead and real time combined, which is similar to all the other organized markets. But then SPP runs an RTO in the Midwest and through the Mountain West. It would not be a stretch for them to expand to become an RTO that covers the rest of the West except California. That would not be a problem.
Wasn't that on the table being discussed a while ago?
It was. But it all got sidelined because of the whole discussion about the markets. That became front and center. And I take a historical view of the thing.
Yeah.
It took, from the time the RTOs were first born, which is about 1935 or 36, till the time they had an organized market was 25 years. And so they had an RTO that was just there for operating purposes. And then they put the market over the top of that over a very long period of time. The markets that have been developed recently have come on top of RTOs that were created quickly. So SPP was created in a matter of 5 or 6 years, and the market was created a year later. That was on top of that RTO. So now I think we're going to do, SPP is going to do the Western markets, perhaps minus Cal ISO, and it's a logical extension for them to be an RTO. What an RTO is, how it operates, all that is non-trivial. That would be a long discussion, and there's a reason why it's hard to create. Because everybody who owns transmission assets has to essentially turn that over to the RTO. And they no longer run them for themselves. That's a huge cultural change for most utilities.
So here's a wild question, like, would it be bad if we did force data centers into different countries? Would that be, sorry, we just don't have, here's the thing, when I think about AI, like 20 years ago, we were watching movies about AI and we thought it was going to be like scary robots that were going to turn on us, but it turns out they're just energy vampires. And why do we put up with energy vampires? Like, why is that? Like, if we're talking about, oh, well, if you put rules, they'll leave. Okay. They don't employ hardly anybody, they're just a few people to run the center. I mean, they literally are a huge drag on our resources with.
But I think whoever really wins the AI war will dominate the earth. And do you want that to be China? That's the question.
Yeah, you lose control of the national security issue.
Yeah.
You give someone else control over the data centers they control.
So it's
Yeah.
the clouds that are being used that have AI are being used to design cars, fusion reactors.
So if it's a national security issue, then why isn't the federal government putting more into transmission and the creation of new energy sources to feed
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah.
Why are they relying on states and small little
Well, it's a
organizations?
States' rights issue.
Who I talk to?
The founders, the fellows been dead for 250 years.
Well,
wrote the
yeah.
Constitution.
But what you're saying is it's a federal issue, it's a national security issue, so if
It's not just a federal issue, that's not what I'm saying. It's an issue at every level, and that's an important distinction. So the feds are doing some things to help, some states are doing things to help, like Maryland, like Virginia, like, so they're getting support from the Fed, but they're doing it at the state level. And, hi Hillary. And the question is, who do you want to actually run all industry? Who do you want to dominate space? Who do you want? Everything that needs to be done through computational excellence. It's gonna be whoever wins the AI race.
But so the federal government can, streamline the process for things like transmission and, correct? I mean, they could do that to make it easier for us
So let's
to,
go back and look at the legislation that's been passed in the last 25 years, including part of the Federal Power Act, where the federal government has had the authority for over 20 years to create transmission corridors.
yeah,
Where they can solve these problems. Well, the problem becomes the states and the NIMBYs, the locals, they bow their necks and go, this is an illegal taking of assets. That's our land. And you're doing something without our say. And that's arguable. And it has been, that's why these things are always in court. So in the 20 years that FERC has been able to designate these corridors, I think they did designate one. And it was back east someplace, and nothing's been built in it. Because after designating the corridor, then, you still have to get permits to do this stuff, and everything's fought out at the local level. So it's yeah, I mean, the federal government can do some things to improve, but the problem that you end up with is every time you do something like that, you create unintended consequences, and you give another layer where somebody says, at that point, you did not fully evaluate the NEPA. And they say that to a federal judge, and the judge goes, gosh, you're right. And boom, now you're remanded back for 2 years to do another NEPA. And that's how that works.
Okay, I think we should move on, but
Well,
Eddie, did you want to say something?
Just say, yeah, I mean, I see a much more complex picture here, cause it's, and I hear actually a lot to be, gives me more reason for optimism than pessimism, and a lot of what, Chris has been reporting out on here. AI is the next frontier of digital information systems, but that it's changing the, duration, intensity, and location of where energy is being consumed, but all that would be happening anyway. There's lots of other sources. I mean, streaming, media content or whatever is for a long time, innovations have been adding to this demand in this way. It's going to be growing one way or the other. We just need to be matching new demand with new generation and locating generation close to demand. I think what part of what also AI is helping us break through is these non-wire solutions that are increasing can massively increase efficiency and grid load managed and distributed energy resource management systems. Like what Chris was mentioning earlier, really interested in these developments and virtual power plants and aggregating distributed battery energy storage systems and these kinds of smart appliances at even the consumer household level, working to balance load. And residential demand is not the issue here, right? It's industrial, commercial, but even that can be growth in residential demand can be matched with that kind of distributed energy resource and efficiency. For these big industrial loads, data centers being one of them. One thing I think that we can recognize for a lot of reasons is going to be very important for national security and economic, just our economic resilience. It's likely that our neck of the woods here, is a place that's feasible to locate that kind of thing. It may be coming. When it does, yeah, any utility should only be permitting it if we can ensure that it's gonna be good for the health of the grid overall, and there needs to be, new generation matched with demand. I am skeptical of these assumptions that it's gonna be necessary to do that through thermal generation, or that would be the most cost feasible or effective way to do it. But all of this is helping us advance the technologies that ultimately get us to energy abundance. And AI and advancement is part of that, and, it could, whether it's here or somewhere else, there's progress I see. So I think the only way out is through.
Just have some.
I'll ask ChatGPT what the cure for our energy problem
So-
is and see what it comes
Well,
up
let's
with.
just agree that we've got a diverse set of thoughts here.
Well, I mean, I
Let's
admire the
revisit.
optimism, but I don't see, like, what's the solution, right? Like, what, we can
Let's
do
come
this.
back to it.
Yeah.
Let's come back to it. I want to keep us on time. We have a lot on our agenda, so.
So really that.
So one time I actually did it, Jamie, see? Go ahead,
You
John.
mentioned wanting to take this discussion to the PUD, other groups. I looked at your tactics under goal 1, water and power supply source and delivery infrastructure in your draft strategic plan.
Mhm.
There's really nothing on this topic generally. So when you get to that tactic and your strategies, you might think about, is there a general tactic? And that may be political value for you to go to a PUD and say, hey, we have included in our planning that on a horizon long-term we recognize, but we need to look at whether it's an RTO, energy supply, energy conservation, transmission development. However
Yeah,
you want to
and
phrase it, you may just want to put something in your plan.
I have a lot of
look.
respect for our organization and our ability to work together. I don't think our time is best spent on national energy dialogue. I think it's more on what we can do at the regional. I mean, state for sure.
Just saying, just some.
State for sure, but like Northwest grid related, that's pretty much at the limit. Not that we shouldn't participate in federal conversations,
Well,
we
the
should.
frustrating thing for me though is what you're saying, that AI is so important because it could be, we gotta lead the nation, our nation has to lead, like, this is, the new thing, like, but states' rights overrule that, whatever, like, it is a conversation that we should be having. 'Cause we're
If I've left you with the opinion that we can't get there from here, I apologize, it's not my intent. My position is somewhere between yours and Eddie's. I'm not anywhere near as optimistic as Eddie, but I'm not anywhere near as pessimistic as you. I think there's gonna be a point where we're backed into the corner as a Northwest society and we actually do some stuff to make it work. And that may be actually overriding some local planning commission or some, NIMBY protester and just ramming some stuff through.
That's where I don't have the faith.
I think we will. I think we
Okay.
will. And,
Right.
when you
Yeah,
think
let's move
about
on.
what we're
Let's
trying-
move on. Okay. There's always a first.
Yeah, I know. Great job.
I shut it down.
Yeah. You're good, you.
That's it for the GM.
I love you all, but I shut this down. Let's move on to the operations report. Thank you, Kurt.
Good morning, commissioners. Try and
Don't
bring
say
us
anything
back,
about the national grid, please.
bring us back down to earth here.
Yeah,
Let's chat.
Not much for the operations report. We are still working out there at D Station. Things are moving along out there. We've done some vegetation management along our 115K line, bringing down a couple of danger trees. And Chris wanted me to just mention the river. Right now we're at about 1,300 CFS cubic feet per second. Just want to let you know where we're at. We're right in between kind of historical minimums and historical average currently. River temp's about 63 degrees Fahrenheit as far as the here at the Ferndale station.
what was the temperature?
63 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, I have to say, quick comment, the flow has come way down
Mhm.
and the temperature is rising rapidly. So if any salmon are listening, get up the river fast and do your spawning because September is gonna be tough.
Yeah, find a shady spot. That's all I have for now.
Oh,
Thank-
thanks, Kurt. That was quick and painless.
Not if you're salmon.
Yeah,
Yeah, so if you wanna, on the old business, if I could, the adjudication and geothermal, let's do them first, and then, a broadband update, and then, we've got Claire here, and we can talk about our strategic plan, so.
Hillary,
You guys okay with that? Okay, geothermal, there's nothing new to
usually
report.
it's me.
Adjudication?
Yeah, interesting. Just a moment, we start talking about where we can resolve things in a national water grid and exchange of water between regions.
Oh, boy.
Wow, John. Wow, good, this is not April, but that's a good one, that's a high five.
We have no other.
Well done, well done.
Okay. So on broadband, you guys know we've got the Point Roberts project going, but yesterday, the WISBO, the Washington State Broadband Office, announced the preliminary awards for the BEAD application. And so I've just got to say that my expectations were extraordinarily low. And we all have to recognize that Andrew did a ton of work. In fact,
Yes, he did.
whatever happens in Whatcom County with regards to telecom, with regards to BEAD, pretty much Andrew. So, we owe him an enormous bit of gratitude for that. So does the port, so do the people of Whatcom County. So all that being said, with very low expectations, Andrew, you want to tell us about the BEAD awards?
Sure, I do.
Stand up.
Stand up. Thank you. So yesterday, we heard from the broadband office, there were all project areas in the county and across the state were all awarded funding for either fiber, hybrid, or LEO satellite, or a combination of other technologies. In Whatcom County, we helped support the port to bring in a bid that was awarded preliminarily for nearly $14 million. If you add the matching dollars that we secured from the state, it's a total of just over 18.5 million across 3 different project areas. Your map there, the colors don't mean anything other than just to give you a visual reference of where the project areas are in reference to the county. So you'll notice like the port, for example, the 126, 212, and 8 are the Blaine, Birch Bay, Ferndale areas.
And these are the most beneficial to mid-mile backbone.
Yes, it's consistent with the previous funding that we've leveraged, that the port has received, and we leveraged that to put in
That's a
successful BEAD applications.
Big win.
Yes.
As a Blaine girl, it's very exciting.
Right.
This is a big one because one of the focuses when we first started talking about broadband was this mid-mile network. And this will allow us to continue that because we already have that North Linden project live with the port, and it's all very good news. Has the port been alerted to this good news?
We shared the news with them yesterday.
Great, great.
Yeah. So the remaining project areas will be a combination of, like I said, the other technologies that you see there across 3 other different private providers, 2 of which are LEOs or satellite. But overall, big win for the community. We brought in, between us, public-private partnerships and private entities alone, together, we brought in, nearly $25 million into the community.
Who is this declaration?
That's used to be Pogazon.
That's
Oh,
focused.
Pogazon.
So I just wanna say, that's a win for our community too, because it's giving a small player a substantially bigger footprint
Yeah,
in our
it is.
community, and the thing that I've, and I won't do it again. But I'll just say, in dense form, that having more participants in the marketplace increases competitiveness, increases quality of service. So D&G is one of those, small
Yeah, no,
players.
it's great. I didn't know it was Pogazon. This is good. Good
This is
job.
exceptionally good news.
This is great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
I almost want to cry. This is such good news,
We'll
yeah.
clap, I guess. Do what we do in church.
Is the port working with its communications folks to do some kind of announcements of this?
We just found this out right
Yeah.
before noon yesterday,
Okay.
so it's.
We need to throw a party with D&G.
Yeah.
And really celebrate this, because D&G is a partner on which one of these 126, 212, and 8? On ours too.
They're the private partner on the ports.
Yeah, so on all 3 of those?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's like a huge win for DNG.
Yes.
The interesting thing with Kuiper and SpaceX didn't have a competitor. And Kuiper is Bezos's version of SpaceX.
And so they're doing some stuff in Point Roberts. it looks
Yeah, they got
like.
the lower bid for Point Roberts.
Which won't be necessarily, it won't hurt us.
No,
No.
it's not a bad thing.
No, and let's see, which is SpaceX got 126? Oh, in the same area as our.
Hmm.
Okay, so 16, so some outlying areas in 126, basically, 16.
Yeah, they got some of the BSLs. We're not sure what. The other part of it is, we're not sure exactly when you just see DNG. Is that gonna be fiber or is it a wireless solution? You know, fiber to a certain point and then wireless, we're not sure.
Well, see, I was super depressed about the bead stuff too, and super pessimistic, because apparently I'm just an old gray mule. And that's what I, but this is good.
So the wins, if I may, the 5 and the 192 project areas, those were Zipley. RDOF areas, adjacent to Zipley RDOF areas, so that might also provide some competitive pressure. Like, this whole thing is a good story, it seems like.
And it's really good, the more I look at it. the more it's-
Like, these are relatively small dollar amounts, creating competitive pressure for another vendor in an area where RDOF has been super stagnant. You probably recall that, Eddie, that predates you. We've had numerous conversations about the RDOF money that went to Zipley and others, and build outs weren't happening. So now when you have a competitor dropping satellite in that area, it's a little bit of a spur to it encourages the RDOF winner to actually follow through on their build outs too. So at least in our county, I don't know what's happened in the state. This is a good story.
It is now, let's wrap it up.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Let's put what we're at. Should we just call a meeting? for-
So again, congratulations, Andy, well done. Next item is our strategic plan. Claire is actually here to talk with us, and just by way of
Oh,
observation.
sorry, one last thing. Can we plan to do a press release on this? When we're ready?
We can,
Yeah, let's make sure, can somebody take responsibility for bringing it to the commission? All right, we have one of those,
Yeah, yeah.
and so,
we just need to work with the port before we do.
yeah, and we need to do it in a way that's, we're not saying something prematurely, obviously, but.
Yeah, and that is the other thing. This proposal will be submitted to NTIA in Washington DC, and they have to approve it, but I think 60 days, 90 days. So in 3 months, we'll know that it's official,
Okay. Yeah, we should wait,
and likely it will be official.
we should wait though, right, until it's official.
So on the strategic plan, you will recall we engaged Mal Foster Alonji to help us put all this together, and they've held a series of meetings with us. What they've put together is a bare bones draft, and it is that, and the purpose of today's meeting is to talk about content and recognize that there's a whole bunch of stuff that's gonna have to happen here. We're gonna have a letter drafted from you guys, if you want, a letter from me as well, in there on what the strategic plan is and what it's trying to do. A ton of text needs to go in here, lots of formatting, pictures. I mean, there's all that kind of stuff. But in addition to that, it's still a draft. And so, this is the time, the next month or so, when we've really got to work through the content and get it to where you guys want it, and then turn MFA loose to put all the finishing touches on it and wrap it all up. So in that spirit.
I tried.
Did I say that like 5 times?
Do you want me to come?
Yes, you did.
Yes. Where
Please, yeah.
would you all like? Okay, great. Thank you, Chris.
Hillary, I'm so.
Well, no, it's okay. My colleague is Claire, so,
Yes, I would-
and we're often together, so it's completely understandable.
I'm way worse than Chris.
It's okay. Nice to see everybody again. Sorry to have my back and everybody back there. So thank you for that introduction. And thanks for having me here today. It's been a while since you've seen me, and I understand we kind of need to get aligned again on where the strategic plan is and make sure like the path forward works. So that's kind of what I'm here to do. I would characterize what you have in front of you not as like bare bones. This is a lot of the content that needs to be refined by you all and the core team. But it is an early draft. It's a couple weeks early to you, because Chris requested that I get it a couple weeks early to you, so we're changing our timeline a little bit so that there's a concurrent review between the commissioners and the core team, which again is Chris, Lisa, and Kurt. So we're gonna have kind of a concurrent review with the core team and the commissioners. So that's what's happening, and because it's a couple weeks early to you all, it's missing a few components, because the deadline for this to be submitted to us by the PUD is, I think, September 3rd. So there's 3 empty spaces in here that will be populated with a letter from you all, a letter from Chris, and a couple graphics and things like that. So I'm gonna just give you a little bit of overview, and then I'll just pause and take any questions and just see where you all want to head with this. I know you only received this yesterday, so you probably haven't had a chance to look at it. But I think the important take home is that it's gonna look a lot prettier than this. It's very important to get the language and content accurate before we start putting in graphics and putting in images and things like that. And so just so you all know, the 2025 update that you did previously, so your current strategic plan, you all had previously said that you really liked how that looked. And so we're kind of gonna go for that as a model. So it's gonna be really nice with lots of pictures and graphics. We're soliciting those from all of you right now. We have a portal that you can upload things to. So the next version you see is gonna be a lot prettier than this. But content again is the key. Couple other things and then I'll pause. So I mentioned all that. Oh yeah, just a reminder, and it's been a while since you've heard this, so I just want to say it again, that when we started this whole process, one of the things that we explained was that sort of the way a strategic plan is developed is that the leadership, which is the 3 of you, really focus on the vision, mission, values, and goals. And that's kind of where we had you all really leaning in with both Karina and with us from MFA. And then the staff really lean in on the strategies and tactics. And that's how we designed this, and this is how we did it. And so the last month and a half, we've been working pretty closely with staff through a staff workshop to get the content for the strategies and tactics to match the draft goals that you all had helped develop. That being said, everything in here is up for review and editing. And the specific kind of need right now from all of you, of course, you can comment on any aspect of it. But the places that kind of would be the most beneficial and helpful is to really make sure that the 3 of you are aligned and in agreement with the vision, mission, values, and goal statements. The way the goal statements are in here, and you've had them for about a month now, they reflect some very minor feedback from staff for your consideration. So I put that in track changes so you can see how the staff responded to the goal statements that you all came up with. And you can either say yay, nay, or let's have this look really different. So that's a big important ask of you 3 to get aligned on the goal statements, as well as the vision, mission, values. And we also, there's just some questions. I can put this all in writing too, so you don't have to memorize what I'm sharing here. But we've presented the kind of goals, strategies, tactics in a couple different ways. They could all be in one big huge table to make it easier, or the way we presented it was goals and then goals, strategies, tactics, just because it's a lot of information. So the way that content is presented is you can give feedback on that and we can massage. So I'm gonna pause there, give you all a chance to absorb and respond. Request.
It's so interesting, like I read this yesterday, you know, online, but I see different things when I have it in front of me. And the first thing that pops out at me that I didn't notice yesterday was under strategies. The goal is water and power supply source and delivery infrastructure, but it only speaks to water, not to electric.
Uh-huh.
And we do discuss electric and like new innovations, but I
Yeah.
wonder, like this. Investigate potential water assets to supplement and enhance supply. I mean, you could really say that about power as well,
Mhm.
right? Investigate
Uh-huh.
potential water and power supply. I just feel like since it's speaking to both, it should show both in the.
Yeah, and that's, Jamie, that's a really great comment, like, one of the things to, as you are all reviewing this, is to identify things that are missing. Especially from the strategies and tactics, because that came from staff.
Right.
And so you all haven't had a chance to really dive into that and identify what critical things might be missing, like what you just mentioned, so that's great. Yeah.
And we did spend quite a bit of time going over mission, vision,
Mhm.
goals, before. I know you said you wanted to focus on that, but we've actually spent quite a bit of time. And I love the, changes that were made by, staff. It looks like the recommendations made by staff.
Where are we at, the goal section?
Oh, page 8, in the highlighted were recommendations by staff.
Yeah, does it show and track changes in your version?
It does on here, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and I
So,
appreciate that, yeah.
Like, so for example, I'll just share one example in goal number 1 on page 8. Staff suggested adding the word potential future customer needs. Things like that.
Fine, yeah.
Yeah, so the three of you, I think there's, well, we'll just keep the feedback coming in right now, and then we can talk about a couple options for how we collate your feedback and get it reflected in here. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to review this yet, the new stuff, so. And I kind of felt like the, work on the, more detail, going from goals forward to tactics is something I need a little bit more time to digest and
Mhm.
provide input on.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I gave it a first read through last night and
And I'm really glad though you got this to us.
Yeah.
Because, I like the concurrency.
Yeah.
I want us to be working together,
Yeah.
not like sequential.
Great, I think that's great. I think it's a good tweak. Yeah.
yeah, I agree. No, it's great to see it and, yeah, I mean, I think it's a good draft. I mean, there's, we got a fair bit more work to do on it, but, yeah, I guess I was going through it, I was having little, thoughts here and there where I might, make line item comments or such, like, is that, I guess, is that gonna be appropriate, or is like, oh, yes.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's stuff to share right now. I've got just one, but.
Yeah, I mean, so you can share those in here. If you wanna do something separate, after you do them, just send them to me and then I'll forward them on to MFA, so there's we don't wanna accidentally cross.
Yeah, and just track
Okay.
changes so we can all see what changes are made.
yeah, I have a couple thoughts on how to make sure we do it efficiently, but which we can talk about in just a sec if we can hold that, but absolutely, like, line item. Language changes, adding content that seems to be missing, like, that is exactly what we're looking for.
Okay, great.
Can I make a suggestion
Yeah.
about that? Because I've experienced this
Yeah.
at city council level before. So when working on this document, it's not really helpful for, Eddie to say, actually, I want this to say that, and then send it to her.
Right.
And then she changes
Let's
it
do a
because
special
like,
meeting.
I may disagree, we
Right.
don't get to
Right.
just unilaterally make that decision. So a special meeting might be a good idea.
So let's do that. Let's plan to schedule a special meeting to go over the next level from goals down to strategies. and
Not that I would ever disagree, but it's just.
Of course.
Theoretical.
Yeah, there's no unilateral
Yeah.
call here.
Yeah, and that's certainly in our best interest, and what I was gonna suggest, and also what's in our contract as an expectation is that for us, it's most helpful if you are all in agreement on suggested changes, and instead of us having to like batter around and make phone calls and stuff like
Well,
that.
Helen, do you think it'd be worthwhile to have a meeting where, and you could be there if you
Yeah,
wanted to, but
yeah.
it'd just be the commissioners where we kind of thrash through this in a public meeting and.
I think that'd be great.
We have that scheduled for September 23rd. That may feel too late, but we could move it up. a
There's
couple-
nothing is too late.
Okay,
I just wanna say
Yeah.
that we just need to keep moving along and we're
Yeah.
done when we're done.
yeah,
Could we move it up? And
I don't mind
do
doing
it
it
at
sooner,
the
yeah.
next meeting?
I don't mind doing it.
Just a reminder
sooner.
that some of this affects budget and budgeting will be happening in the
Right.
fall.
Yeah.
So,
So that's why it would make sense to do it sooner rather than 23rd.
Mhm. I'm happy to do it sooner now that we have.
And we only need you. for
Yeah,
that.
oh, yeah, that's what you would get.
only me.
From an efficiency
We don't-
perspective, for
Yeah,
sure, yeah,
exactly.
yeah. And that's kind of what we had talked about doing is, we're calling it the commissioner workshop.
We
You guys
Yeah,
can
we can
absorb
look at
this,
pull up calendars.
with your thoughts to it, and then we can have a facilitated meeting where we just crank it out. And you can all come to agreement, and if there's a disagreement, I can help facilitate maybe a solution, so we can just do it in the meeting, if that works for all of you.
I gotta read my calendar.
I need to
Yeah,
grab
maybe we
my
can
calendar
we
too.
just
Do it after?
converge later
Yeah.
to look at it's usually Fridays.
Let's go
For me to-
by on Joseph to.
Yeah.
Coordinate that.
Yeah,
As long
I
as we
just think-
respond to
if we-
Jason.
Joseph's got his hand up.
Well, our next, just at our
Well,
next
so who was saying they needed their calendars? Chris and who else? Because actually I have Chris's calendar in front of me as we speak.
Oh, well, I need my calendar.
And Hillary needs hers. We'll just
Okay.
go ahead. Work with you offline like we normally do to schedule.
Perfect.
discussion.
Will do.
So let's pick the week though, if we can. Or 2 weeks. So the first or second week of September is what I'm throwing at.
Like maybe the 5th.
Because otherwise the 23rd is the third week, I mean, the fourth week, so. That's a regular commission meeting.
Well, that was what I was saying, is if we had it scheduled for a regular meeting, can we just have it at our next regular meeting?
The 9th,
Just to, yeah, and then.
can we do it at the 9th? Just go a little bit longer?
Longer though, but how does that work?
It's harder for me to have, with
Except
a,
on Friday.
Yeah, Chris
Yeah.
is not going to any conferences, so we'll be okay.
yeah.
I'm actually going on vacation now.
But you're not gonna have a report from
Unless
your
Chris
general
has
manager.
jury duty.
What's that?
Or jury. duty.
Can we just?
That's the thing is Chris's jury duty on the first week of September might be the hangup.
And I have jury duty the second week, but that's not critical.
Well, and Kurt and I are both on vacation in September. We've been coordinating our calendars. I mean, we need to do this offline.
Okay,
We'll
okay,
figure it out.
sounds good. You throw some dates to the commission then, if it's staff driven, the constraints.
Lisa knows my schedule.
So either at a regular commission, either at a regular commission meeting, but I think, you like, we all seem to like Friday.
As long as we're at
Yeah.
a decent hour, cause I'm not.
So, and then we'll hand it back to Joseph to figure it out, okay?
Right, and the one Friday in September that does not work for me is the 12th, so just putting that out there.
Friday the 12th, okay.
Yeah, Friday the 12th, okay.
We'll look, Joseph, let's look first at Friday the 5th. And then if we can't coordinate that, we'll move forward for other days.
That looks good. And in fact, looking at Chris's calendar, assuming he doesn't have jury duty, he's available at 1 that day if we wanted to do our like 1 to 4 or 1 to 3 or whatever
Yeah,
length we would need.
2 hours is plenty, we're
Just
drained.
act a little weird and maybe they won't pick you for jury.
I've tried.
I was on a panel one time and a guy got asked in the selection and he just said, look, I'll hang the guy as from where I sit, and they let him go. So I'm just saying, boss.
He's just saying, boss.
It's the same.
That might fix
I
that
just
problem.
wanna say that I'm actually, there's been a lot of conversation here about like, oh, how can they even be putting something out? I don't feel like we've spent that much time together.
Right,
I'm actually really impressed with what you've put together. I don't
Right.
think it's bare bones either. I think
Yeah.
that a lot of the tactics and the strategies, they're all things that we've
Mhm.
discussed even briefly, and I'm really impressed that you got it all in there.
thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So moving, is there more? I had one specific thing that I wanted the three of us to discuss here
Sure.
about.
Yeah,
So we haven't really talked about this at length at any time. It just occurred to me that it would make sense to have our strategic plan updates happen in years like this, which is an odd year. Because they're a non-election year for the PUD.
Mhm.
So then what it would mean is that we're doing it in an odd year. To actually have the spacing to be an even spacing, so it would stay to be an odd year.
Oh, I see.
So what this says is every 5 years,
Like
so I'm
6
wondering
or
either we should either 4 or 6.
Yeah, I basically, we could say that, and I think.
And then we
that-
can do it when we want to.
Yeah, because the world will change.
The world will
And-
change.
And we'll need to, we'll either be fine, let's not update it, or, oh my God, we've got, a Western LTO is now on the horizon and we need to talk now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the world will change and.
They're not very done, they're not always done timely anyways.
They're not done, that's why we know that, yeah. They haven't been done, right.
Best of intentions.
So, but anyway, for the purpose of the writing, it says once every 5 years, approximately once every 4 years is okay? Or 6?
Or just
Regular
five,
interval.
5 years or as needed. And, I mean, I just wouldn't bind yourselves, it's not a.
Yeah, I just would like to keep it on an odd year.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good to me, but I think putting at 5 and then doing it at 6 is probably okay.
Oh, okay,
Or
yeah,
vice
that's fine with
versa.
me, yeah, it's not a
Yeah,
big deal.
I know that your engineer mind really wants something solid there, but
Yeah,
you just need.
I don't really care,
Get
I just wanna
some
bring it up,
vibe from-
I just wanna bring it up. Thank you very much.
There's no harm in saying 6 and doing it soon.
Yeah, let's do
Exactly.
6 then,
And
every 6
Well,
years.
and frankly, there's no harm in setting 5 and doing it later. And it's all, it's
Yeah,
all good.
let's do 6,
Six seems good,
yeah, my
Yeah,
engineer mind.
that's then it should-
We'll do 6.
a year matching term length,
Yeah.
yeah. 6 makes sense, I guess, yeah, this would be,
I have an engineer, and I don't feel any such compulsion.
But we have, maybe it's not engineer, it's some
Time
other,
is an
maybe other some compulsion, yeah.
from a communication.
I like 6.
perspective,
I
would
like
say
6 because the commissioner has a 6-year term.
5 and do it in 6, because then people.
That makes sense, cause then you
That
did it
looks
early,
exciting.
yeah, instead of late, yeah.
online, So it's more of a.
Well, the
One
other
shows
thing-
that you're efficient, the
The
other
other
shows that
thing
you.
is the commissioner has a 6-year term, so that you would at least get one strategic plan.
Mhm.
Every term,
right,
unless you're the weird term.
No, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with Lisa, 6, and then if you do it in 5, like,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
can say,
Better.
like, look how good we got,
right,
let's do 6.
we did it faster than
Six.
expected.
so.
6.
First decision made,
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
So this, which puts us, right, okay, so then this is the plan through 2030, then we have our 2031 plan,
Mhm.
yeah. I was wondering if either you saw anything that's missing here. It seems like before we get into like fine tuning what we have, this would be a good point to identify anything that isn't there that we want to incorporate, and the one that stood out to me was we haven't really worked out what our goal is on telecom. Or where, like, I don't, it's,
And that's really what, so, that's really, I want a chance to read through the strategies and tactics, because, look what's happening. We're ending up not owning any physical plant, or even being custodian of physical plant, it's the port that's owning the physical, there's a custodian of the physical plant. And then we're in a service capacity. I always want to make in a technical support and service capacity as what's currently configured here. So, I just want to make sure that the language is there to make clear that even though it's buried, it is a very valuable function to our community that we're participating in. And I just want to make sure it's solidly represented in goal 6. And goal,
Broadband in goal 6, is that specifically what you're saying?
yeah,
I was thinking broadband might be better suited in community and customer relations.
yeah, those two, the
Yeah.
other one I was thinking 4 and 6.
Yeah, cause I mean, what you're talking about is a collaboration with another
Mm-hmm.
entity to like further, you know.
So can we, give me the time to review it? I think staff has probably already, and you've already captured it somewhere in the details of strategies and tactics, but let's make sure it is. And that'll be a focus of mine, certainly.
And then we would suggest, because it is kind of a miss on all of our parts. We didn't, other than the CCA, which is in the customer choice information that's in here, we didn't talk about influencing or attempting to influence what's going on with the RAP, with, you know, resource adequacy, with markets, electric markets, and RTO.
We could modify 5 to be legislative, regulatory, and
Yeah, or
regional
just-
dialogue.
Just add a D under, or a B under, no.
No, you're thinking about, so goal number 5,
It's really
legislative and
belongs with 5.
regulatory.
Yeah, and I was gonna say
Yeah.
regional dialogue.
Yeah,
We just kind of ignored the electric side because frankly, we're focused on the water side. Everybody's focused on that. And we can't lose sight of the electric side.
Yeah, because it could be big, way bigger than the water side at some point. in the
Y'all are
future.
gonna drive me to drinking if we keep talking about electric. This is depressing, but I feel like, but I do feel like legislative and regulatory, like, I know that I don't know if the tactic should be really specific about. Cause we have some big asks, I think, coming up, like local exemption from the Hearst decision. Like, should we be that specific in our No, okay. Okay, so, but internally, we should have this conversation about what we want to ask legislation, our legislators, especially right now, as they're preparing for.
And I think part of that,
Session.
probably the best way to do that is through our WAPUDA committees. So,
But that, we're asking for like a very local exemption. Do you think WAPUDA, like doing it through the WAPUDA committee is still the best avenue for?
not for that.
Okay,
For that, really, it should be done through partners in the adjudication. And that's something that, you know, we really ought to talk about in an executive session.
okay.
So
I mean, and that's literally what you're getting.
what about labeling goal number 5 to be legislative, regulatory, and regional dialogue? Is that okay?
I mean,
Because regional dialogue incorporates RTO, it includes other,
The RAP,
yeah.
yeah.
Is that okay? This is still a draft, it's obviously, but I'm just saying it gives us room to incorporate, strategies and tactics that
I
address.
mean, yeah, that's
yeah,
amenable to me. Yeah.
but legislative, regulatory, and regional engagement,
Or whatever,
yeah.
yeah, okay, engagement.
We'll let Hillary decide. She'll make it look
Yeah.
nice for.
Yeah, sure.
I'm making notes. I like engagement. That's good. Okay.
I was thinking about how, what's appropriate for the level of strategy, and, you know, there's these broad things as they are here, but then, you know, say like under goal 6, we're more specific about CCA in the strategy, so like under goal 5, would it make sense to, if we were like name more broad areas of direction we'd like to see, such as supporting creating a regional RTO, something like is that at that level versus like at the tactic level, where that would be maybe more of a year-to-year thing?
Well, I don't know, cause I asked for a very specific legislative ask for 5, but you said no, keep it broad, but we do get very specific
No,
in
you
goal
were asking-
6.
That particular one we were asking about is potentially subject to litigation. And that
Okay.
may be where it gets resolved. An RTO, well, in theory, anything subject to litigation, but the RTO, you want to include that specifically? Absolutely. The RAP, absolutely. You know, I mean, that's exactly the kind of thing. Now, you've got CCA in here, and I don't remember if you guys put that in or staff put it in, frankly, but you know, it doesn't.
CC is under which one, sorry to interrupt.
It's under 6.1B. And, it doesn't even say that we're for it or against it. It just says we gotta look at it. And I think that's an appropriate, level of input in a strategic plan.
It is, it just, that one strikes me as, it almost seems like it's at a different level than the other strategies, like it sounds more like a tactic. It's more specific than the other strategies.
But it is a
Under goal.
It is a tactic.
That is a tactic.
Yeah.
Last page, you're in,
Yeah.
now, the ones that are
Oh.
letter under the numbers are tactic.
Yeah, if they have a
Uh,
letter, it's
le-
gonna have more
And if
detail.
there's a decimal point, it's.
Wait, what's,
I know, it's confusing.
and what's the strategy for the,
It's,
that it's under?
so this is where the table issue came in.
So the engineer in me doesn't like the
Six-
letters. It wants
6.1, we might have to put them all in one table so it's a little more
Yes.
clear.
Yeah.
You have to kind of
Should be
flip back to
0.1,
6.1 on page
Yeah.
10. is the
Oh,
best
yeah,
page
right,
to do.
sorry, yeah, I was,
It's our
Yeah.
fault, cause I was also
Uh,
struggling with this, so we're gonna.
oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tactic.
okay.
Yeah.
It should be,
They-
it should
I
be F,
agree. I
then
think
it could
they
be
need
F,
to be-
A, C.
Yeah, I agree.
Wait,
A,
but then,
all letters.
Yeah.
hold on, but
Sorry.
No, you're.
I feel like I'm missing a page.
Oh, what page are,
Are
you
we,
may have missed.
oh, no,
Yeah, no,
okay.
sure.
Yeah, but
So
page
here's the,
10, how,
so it's invest, that's under,
Give me a call if you want to talk about it.
that's the strategy.
Thank you.
And then instead of carrying all the language over, we just labeled it 6.1.
okay, so
So
that's,
it's not a great way of presenting the information and we'll fix that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be able to work with him once we have
Yeah.
a conversation, but the public might have trouble at a later
Yeah,
point to review
yeah.
that document when it's not clear.
I agree. I'm gonna make a little note that needs to. We
Well,
need to
and
come up
that-
with a better table.
in that case, actually, then. Maybe inverse of my comment is that some of the tactics I'm seeing seem like they might fit better as strategies at the level they're at.
Mhm.
Perhaps, like, I mean, something as broad as, you know, to annual, like. Communicate the PUD's legislative positions, like, is that a tactic? I guess it is, but.
So I wanted to be super specific and that's why I was asking, do we want to be super specific about the tactic? I actually like this. So annually develop, this is a tactic, annually develop and proactively and strategically implicate and communicate the PUD's legislative position. So that's when I would have the opportunity to be like, okay, look, in October, we're going to start calling our legislators and pushing our personal agenda, like this is what we want to see happen. This is, instead of outlining that in the strategic plan. So I think that is a good tactic. I think that's a very clear tactic, but I want to see a timeline attached to that, you know, like I feel like we've talked about this every year since I've been here and we've never done it. And that's not your fault. I just think that as a commission, we're like, oh, we should really talk to our legislators about this or that, and then we don't create a plan for it. So if the tactic is to develop a plan, like I'm excited about that. Is that a lot of word salad for you?
No.
Sometimes I just. The coffee.
And maybe you don't want that timeline in here, then that might be a separate.
Yeah,
topic
yeah,
on that.
but I think that's a great tactic, yeah.
Sounds like we all might have, we might come up with some additional tactics to suggest.
Yes.
Add to the list.
Mhm.
September 5th is just next Friday. So
Mhm.
I work fast.
I know, but just a reminder that if we do a lot of work between now and then, it'll be a really productive day.
Yeah,
It sounds like everybody's really focused on this and I am greatly heartened.
it's some good homework.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
filling it out.
Would it be helpful if I bulleted out sort of specific ways of approaching it so that we can have, if it's September 5th, have it be as productive as possible?
Yeah, that'd be great.
So for example, one of the things that I would ask of you all is to think about, you know, not only what's missing from the tactics and maybe the wording of some that are
Maybe
here
strategies too.
and the strategies, but also what feels like high priority for 2026? Like, what do you want to hit the ground running on immediately?
Yeah,
Is
that
that
hits
something we want to
budget.
capture too? And that's really needs to come from you all. So if it'd be
That is
helpful,
what goes in the budget.
Mhm.
yeah, and that goes,
If
so,
we nail that down next Friday, more or less,
Mhm.
that's all we need for the budget at that point. Then we're good and.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that will make Annette happy.
Okay.
We like making.
We laugh.
Yes, we do.
would you like me to bullet those things out so you don't have to memorize them?
Yeah, that'd be great,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Bullet what out?
Just sort of like what would be really helpful for you to have thought in advance about
Okay,
before we have our facilitated, I'm calling it a facilitated workshop and like a working meeting where we're really getting in there and massaging and tweaking and
Yeah.
changing and coming to agreement on things. Does
Yeah.
that work?
Having the assignment written out would be
Okay,
good, we're all on the same page, and then,
Yeah.
would we then? We would email in something individually.
You wouldn't even have to. Just bring
we'll
to
just
the
do it in
meeting.
that meeting.
Just as long as we just bring it to the meeting, yeah.
bring it to the
Okay.
meeting. You can mark up a draft if that would be helpful to you to bring to the meeting. The meeting is what I'll consider to be kind of the working
That's sort of
session,
paper.
where we're making tweaks. It
Okay.
won't be the
Um,
final opportunity of it.
You can really mess with me.
Yeah,
Send-
what-
Send Claire and I'll call her Hillary.
I could do that. I won't do that to you though.
Actually put on name tags.
Well, thank you, Hillary. This is great.
Well, thank you all. Are there any other comments or questions at this stage?
No, thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I'm really looking forward to our working session. And I will get some bullets, kind of an assignment, and of course, you can go beyond the assignment if you would like, but I think it'll help kind of focus. Where it's most helpful, I'll send them to you and you can send them out.
Yep.
Sound good? Okay,
Okay.
I'll see you. I think it's gonna be the 5th, but I'll wait for confirmation.
Awesome.
Okay, take care. Good luck with all the rest of your agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, take-
Let's move on to new business.
All right, so the first one is a change order from Cobb Fenley, and is that one you amended?
Sure. That's,
Sure.
well, great. Today's order, we're looking for approval for additional 49,467.60 which is just the rescoping of the Point Roberts project that we've discussed in previous meetings. So this is just a follow-up to the contract with the engineering firm. And it's grant funded through the ARPA county dollars.
And the reason is because, of course, of the archaeological related
Trying to get everything. open.
matters to get. How are things looking, by the way? It's not relevant to proving this item, but since it's coming up, how are things looking? Are we making progress on that front?
His face says it all. Got it.
We don't know. Until we actually give the new design to DAP
Okay,
and they say, yeah, this is fine. If they come back and say, oh, nice that you did that, but we're still gonna have to have all these permitting requirements, then we still have a problem.
Okay.
I will say that PUD Sound Energy has been very, very helpful. I don't know if Brian's still on, he was earlier. But anyway, they've been really helpful about looking at their standards and at least considering changes that they wouldn't do for other telecom providers. So that's been good.
that's great to hear. Okay, so, any discussion on the, change order?
No, it's pretty straightforward. I'll actually move to approve change order number 1 for Cobb Finley and Associates.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Alright, the next item is item B, 8B, resolution, for cancellation of a warrant.
Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
We
Good
have
morning.
resolution 878 for Digital Boundary Group. They reached out, it's been 2 months, they haven't received their checks, so I need to forward that reissue.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
And then we have a walk-on item.
We
Yes,
do.
good morning, commissioners. You have an action memo you should have there in front of you. We're just requesting for you to authorize the general manager to approve the renewal of our dental and medical benefits for staff. These are for our non-represented employees. And we are looking to make no changes to either plan. Dental will renew with no increase this year, which is nice. Medical, we are looking at about a 16% increase, which is still below about the 18%, which is what the Affordable Care Act market is expecting to be the median increase for the year. So in the state, so it is an increase. We did look initially, we talked about maybe making some changes to dental as a parent who recently paid for orthodontia for my child. I thought we have a lot of young families, it might be a nice benefit to try to add, but since we're looking at such an increase in medical, we just, kind of decided to stay away from that and keep the dental so that there's no increase. and keep the same level of medical benefit that we've had, instead, so that's what we opted for, and that's what we're recommending.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, it looks good to me.
Okay,
Less
well,
than
I'm hearing a
my
motion.
business is increasing.
I'll move to approve.
I will second.
So, motion for resolution number one to,
No resolution, just action memo
Yeah.
to recommend.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
To approve the action memo.
to approve the action memo to, authorize the general manager
I mean,
to,
approve the action, sorry. Yeah.
um, let me read it correctly, because it's not on the agenda, so I just want to try to get it.
right.
Okay, so a motion to authorize the general manager to approve renewal of dental and medical benefits.
There we go, thank
I
you.
second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And Joseph, will you make sure that gets posted in the what's online for, because it wasn't in our packet prior to the meeting? I mean, it is in our packet, but it was.
Yes, I will. In fact, I've redone the agenda and I have that listed below as action. So action one, then that is action two, and then your resolution in the agenda. It's all there and covered.
8C for the benefits.
Okay, well,
Okay.
yep.
And then, okay, great. That's all with new business. So let's move on to commissioner reports.
Should I go first?
Sure.
Okay, I don't really have a lot to say. I will, so, you were talking earlier about growth, what were they projecting for growth at the conference you were at?
Well, it depends on the utility, so
Uh-huh.
Idaho Power is looking at 8%, 8.8%.
Oh, okay.
Per year, and Puget Sound Energy is looking at something close to the peanut projection. But they consider that to be a floor, not a ceiling. Peanut projection is 1.5%, 1.75% a year,
Okay,
which is way high for utilities,
right.
electric utilities.
So I was at, it's actually a Ferndale Chamber of Commerce meeting, and, the Ferndale mayor was there and he was talking about the comprehensive plan and, that they're working on right now, and that, they're expecting an increase in Ferndale of over 10,000 people, in the next 20 years, which he showed seems to track for, the growth that they've been experiencing. But along with that, lots of people were asking about water, and it's come up even in other meetings about how we meet that demand for water. And, they said they dug a new deep aquifer well, and so I had asked, well, do you think that's enough to meet the demand? And he said, oh yeah, that's enough to meet the growth in the 10,000 people. I don't know if that's.
Who said
true or
that?
Not true. The mayor of Ferndale. But I just thought, it's just interesting information for everybody to consider. And their well is now functioning, so they flipped the switch, and I don't know if you can taste the difference in the water or not, but give it a shot, see if it's any better.
The reason they needed to drill that well was because one of their shallow wells failed because they had depleted the aquifer.
I know,
So
that's why I said tongue in cheek, I don't know if that's,
Yeah, Ferndale probably needs, aquifer recharge more than Linden does.
they probably need to reconnect with their friendly neighborhood wholesale provider who used to supply them water.
yeah, so obviously this is pointed, this is why I'm bringing this
I meant
up.
if they stay at
Yeah.
the wells, they would need, it would be necessary.
Well, the aquifer recharge wouldn't work for them because supposedly they've tapped into a deep independent aquifer that is not related to the surface level aquifers, although I think that's not true. But that's their claim.
Mhm.
But if that were true, why would the local aquifers here be being drawn down?
No, there needs to be recharge, or some other hybridized solution for supply.
Anyway, I really admired his confidence, and I think it's, something for us to just keep in mind, that growth in population and, demands for services, not just, we spent a lot of time today talking about electric demands, but a lot of demands for water in a time when we have less and less of it. Yeah, so there's that. And then the other thing is we got an invitation, I'm sure it went to everybody from the Wacom Conservation District to go on another one of their tours in September. I think it's different though. This year it's focused on fire.
Oh.
Prevention, and so anyway, you went last year, I went the year before, I'm kind of interested in going, but if y'all are too,
What?
let's just figure it out. so that
We can
let
notice,
people
we can
know.
notice it if
Yeah.
we need to, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, we're not gonna be talking about PUD
Yeah,
stuff anyway.
yeah,
Yeah, I really enjoy, I could go again.
yeah, it's a great, if you get the
Yeah, I'd
chance
be
to go on the tour,
interested.
yeah.
That's not, would we need public notice for that?
If more than one of us is there,
We should.
I mean, out of an abundance of caution, we should.
Yeah.
And we were invited as commissioners, so
Right.
I would say that you would have to notice it, so
Um,
if you wanna go, maybe let Chris know.
And you can
and-
attend individually, if you're not sitting together or not talking about it, you can attend to get information. If you tend to sit and chat about it, we need to set up a special meeting.
I would say I would err on the side of caution, you
There's
know.
nothing wrong with more
Yeah.
notice, for people to know,
We
but
have
people may,
no
what
idea.
may, you might show, there's no, where, you might have a special notice form that just says we're attending,
Yeah,
there's not a formal meeting.
yeah,
yeah,
there's no meeting, but we're.
cause even
So-
I'm surprised by what I talk about sometimes.
So
it's
we'll
just
let me know
company.
if there's more than one of you, and then we'll do notice.
When is it?
Early September, I think,
Okay.
I can't remember, I just read it before I came in here. That's it for me, thank you.
Thanks for mentioning that.
You had one thing you reminded me of, if I
Oh,
can divert real
sure.
quick. One of the concerns from the case committee adjudication is there's a members in the community have been speaking about, well, let's go delay the adjudication process to try to work out a solution.
Hmm.
And apparently that has been a comment that was heard by the court officials and made by a county council member.
Oh.
And so the feeling is that there's some people out there who are misunderstanding or have divergent views of what is going to happen. And so we as a case committee, we said, that's really not out of our scope. We have concerns. Some of us may go to the council and say something at an open session, but not being part of the case committee, we're talking about that. But if you're out in public and this comes up, or you hear something at a farming group or something about, well, maybe we can delay the adjudication. It's worth saying because some possible claimants may think they can defer this and they can't. So you should stand up and say, no, my understanding is this is happening. You have to have your claims by May 1. This is not going to be deferred or delayed for some negotiation. That deadline's not getting moved. Because there's some misinformation being conveyed out in the community, but the case standing committee thought it was outside of our purview, and we didn't want to have it appear the court was saying something.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, just for your information, sorry,
Yeah,
I forgot,
no,
I forgot that earlier.
That's good to know, I've actually heard that
Yeah.
too, from people.
Yeah.
I think,
And that's a very dangerous
Yeah.
rumor,
Yeah,
because it could hurt the interest of, again, the group
Right.
that I'm most concerned about are private well owners who have small businesses. Who actually, that sustains them,
Bluebirds.
sustains them.
But we
Sustains
should-
the commission for 1 hour, okay, but not sustains this, but it, you know, that, those kinds of, are very vulnerable to losing, a water right. I don't think that, we have to, we should be saying things that, oh, you know, somehow it may not be a real deadline. So,
right, but we should, to be clear though, like, we should be seeking solutions regardless.
oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like, those two
Yeah,
things,
that's separate.
so,
That's
yeah,
a
that's.
separate
completely
conversation.
Separate
separate,
conversation.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna delay the train.
Sure. I think
Yeah,
that's where people get
Regardless of what
confused.
happens in the adjudication, folks, we need wet water solutions.
That's right.
Yeah, that's all
Yeah.
the discussion.
Yeah.
Thanks, sorry to divert.
No, that's good. Good thing to, yeah. Eddie?
Oh, my
You're
next.
next on the list then.
Oh, right, well, I'm glad that you're following Ferndale comprehensive plan. Yeah, in question of Ferndale's water supply, I mean, that's something I think we'll probably talk about at a later date, or it may come to us, but I, just as a kind of heads up thing, I was, seeing on that in the county comprehensive plan process, I think in October, draft's coming out of their utilities chapter. It will be in front of the planning commission, or the draft may come out like maybe, or by end of September at least. So just flagging that as something that I think we might wanna you might wanna take a look at and respond to, and I know, you know, Atul gave comments earlier in the process on our behalf. But yeah, once we have like a draft to respond to, I think that's something.
Maybe we should bring it in and put it on the agenda for, have it in the packet, the utilities chapter,
When it comes out.
when it comes out. And then,
In the county's process, they did actually call me into, several meetings, like 2 or 3.
yeah,
Where we spent many hours talking about utility issues along with Puget Sound Energy, and they had a lot
Oh,
of
you did?
folks in, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was, gosh, last year, it's been maybe before last summer even, I mean.
Yeah,
it-
that was the.
Just along those lines, Commissioner, the county comp plan is supposed to be particularly utilities and the land use chapter should be built on the coordinated water system plan, at least as far as water utilities are. We've already submitted a comment back in August about the water coordinated system plan. Utilities chapter may end up being focused just on county utilities with passing comments on other entities' utilities, but it should be as part of a planning document, talk about all utilities that are service, all areas of the county, particularly the service of urban growth areas. So we can send you that letter again. I think we shared it before, but I'll make a copy here and send it to you right now. So you see what we've submitted in the past.
Yeah.
Great.
so in a regular meeting, I think it would make sense for it to be in, the draft. If we can do it before the planning commission sees it, and, maybe one of us should contact planning and development services and ask them to send us the draft when it's ready for planning commission.
Yeah, if we're not already, already on the list of stakeholders to receive it. I don't know if they do it that way. I've got to, see if we're signed up.
Yeah, and if we don't have any additional comments, then it'd be a quick item, but if we have comments, then we should approve them as a
Yeah.
group and then take
I'll
them
reach
to.
out to county planning, because I mean, it really ought to come to me, to staff, so I can get it back out to you.
That'd be great, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, it'd be great, and that, yeah, you have your first look at it, if there's
Yeah,
any-
who knows, maybe it's already, they're okay with sharing it in a draft form.
Oh, yeah, actually, if they,
Who knows?
if-
Yeah, I'll ask.
that'd be great if you could find out, yeah, so maybe, in. Yeah, we'll just see, yeah, what at the appropriate time, if there's anything to discuss, then we can. I'm. Not sure I have anything else to report, really, just-
Yeah, it's summertime.
yeah, I'll pass.
I don't have a lot to report either. I looked at Jamie, surprised, Jamie's surprised. So the main thing is Tyler has published as of last week, the Tyler Schroeder, not deputy, the economic development for the port has published a buildable lands report last week. And it's a piece of the coordinated economic development effort that the port leads. I had coffee with him yesterday and he encouraged us to take a look at it. And I'm gonna say something very selfish to the PUD. Grandview's mentioned.
Mhm.
And you can look at it as a problem or just look at it as an opportunity, right? So the opportunity is that it's a good opportunity for economic development because there's not a lot of other economic activity on exit 266. It's we talk about affordable housing, which I agree with in our community, not so much at the PUD, but I mean, it's a hot topic, we all know that. But we don't talk a lot about affordability for businesses. And so to me, Grandview has the potential of being a place to attract, obviously on I-5, good access to the entire county, great access to Ferndale, economic development, and by way of that, hopefully creating the support either city of Ferndale to eventually acquire it, but in the near term, get us some more customers so we can spread the costs of water services a little bit broader too. So it's an opportunity. We still have to get over the landowner issue. A motivated landowner, who wants to work with business makes it a lot easier to do cool things. And John, stop staring at me. So, we could use a more motivated landowner, of course, too, but that's not.
So
for
I'm
us to
chomping
decide.
at the bit to comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
So during the mayor's discussion of the comprehensive plan and the growth. He was showing maps, and unfortunately they weren't in close enough detail for me to really see them, and it was a group of people, so. I couldn't keep
The
asking.
city's not flat, okay.
Yeah, so, but they're talking about that growth and what that's going to look like, and they're talking about annexing urban growth areas, right? And it looks like, from the map that I was looking, it looked like that was extending towards Grandview. And so if that's the case, if they will be annexing that land as part of the urban growth area, the city of Ferndale would
That would,
provide their utilities.
yeah.
Not
No?
necessarily.
Well, so any business that goes in there, though, has to abide by the city's rules, which isn't necessarily the case right now, right? I mean, so you can,
But the
you can
landowner could
divide
refuse
your land,
services.
you can do whatever you want with your land, but it has to be under the city's code. So you're saying
If
not
land was
necessarily.
annexed, it would be subject to city jurisdiction, the city land use regulations. But as far as a purveyor would be, they could annex the property. And the PUD could still be the water purveyor, even though it's in the city
Yeah.
limits.
And I've asked them that specifically.
Yeah,
And what they're looking at doing is running the sewer up there, but not water.
not water.
Yeah, and that's why you don't see any comments from us in the comprehensive plan. They asked me to. And I said, look, if you guys are if you're gonna extend the water up there and we're gonna talk about intertying our system, or if you want to take over the Grandview system, and they just said, no, we're not extending water up there, no way, no how. Flat no, and so I haven't responded to, anything to their comprehensive plan. All they're looking at doing is run the sewer up there.
But anyway, your conversation and my conversation are gonna be closely intertied in the.
Yeah, and the thing is that we really need a motivated property owner. We need someone to acquire that property who's actually interested in local economic development, and we don't have that today.
Buzz is in Montana
Mhm.
and.
Absentee landowner.
Absentee landowner.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, just sitting on an investment. project.
So,
Yeah.
it might be that it will go the way that, of stagnation until that happens. Because you have to have the property owner on board in America. So,
Sooner or later, maybe later, but someone's gonna come along.
yeah, someone's gonna come along. Yeah.
God, you guys just kill me with the optimism. Oh, for crying out loud.
That's all I got.
I don't think Grandview would be a good place for a data center,
It'd be a good place for incubator center.
It would be a great place for Ford Incubator Center. And some low rent, space for startup businesses, yeah.
Or maybe it'll be a good place for Ferndale residential areas.
We have had data centers, ping us to come into Whatcom County, and they have all declined so far. Because of a lack of power, lack of water, lack of land, whatever it is, they just don't get it.
Yeah, we're at the tail of the distribution system until we improve the north-south cross-border intertie, but that's outside of.
Electrically, there's a number of things you can do, but, yeah.
All right, that's all I have. So, let's move on to any other comments? Commissioners?
No,
Okay, let's move on to public comment. Any public comment?
public.
Thanks, commissioners. Todd Lives to yours, private citizen. I appreciated the update on geothermal. One of the questions that kind of popped into my head with my rigging and stunt rigging background was about you talked about being at the limits. And so what I wanted to, I guess, make sure that we're considering is safety factors on top of those limits, right? So if whatever you're designing, one of the questions to ask then is what is the safety factor on top of the design limit, so.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, Todd. The interesting thing about geothermal is there's no human at risk ever. What happens is you end up with the casing collapsing 6, 8, 10,000 feet below ground, and that's it. There's no blowback, it's gone. So the downside, if you don't design it well enough, is that it stops working,
And costs a lot of money,
and it costs a lot. So, but yeah,
which impacts people through either rates or.
well, and part of the problem is you don't know what the temperature regime is gonna be down there until after you drill the well and put the casing in it. It's all an estimate until you punch that hole. And that's kind of the dilemma we got. But thank you, yeah, it's a good point,
Elevators have a safety factor of 11.
yeah.
Yeah.
I always think that when I step into an elevator, it says what the pounds are that it can hold, and I'm looking around and I'm like, "That's
Doesn't mean you should jump, because then when they get stuck, the fire department has.
not
Not a good move. Well, yeah, but so if we, when they do exploratory drilling and, turns out it's too hot, well, at least then we'll know it's too hot for the equipment. Right, so you'll learn something.
Well, I think if we drill and it's too hot, that means we went too deep, which would be great news, because.
Right, I mean,
production
you're right,
wells are gonna do
go
those.
exactly, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be.
So even if, you lose the equipment, you gain something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, any other public comment? See any hands raised? Nope,
Can I make,
so,
can
go
I make
ahead.
one comment?
Well, we're still on public comment. You don't need to make public comment. I'm not closing the meeting yet.
Oh, okay, I just wanna say something before you close me.
Yeah, okay. So, close the public comment period, and now anything good of the order?
Just an observation, the executive session that we're not having today.
Mhm.
That will be the subject of the SAO audit, one of the things that they're gonna provide us feedback on. We need to get religious about having 3 different things: a start time, a projected end time, and a duration. We have to make sure, apparently people can't do math, and auditors know that, and so you have to have all 3.
Okay,
And I emailed during the meeting Annette about this, because I didn't go back to the OPMA, maybe Peter recalls, but I'm not sure that you have to have all 3 tied into your minutes. You have to announce the length, you have to do these things. I think we have all the data from our videos. And I went back and I asked, Annette, did the SAO just look at the written record in the minutes or look at the videos? Because we have that, at least we say it, and it's on the screen of the time clock. So his comment back was, good clarification, we just looked at the written record. I say that may soften, but the better practice is, like Chris is saying, is to just say it and document and make sure it's in the minutes. But I think we have everything.
I think we do. We're doing it right in terms of, if you look at the totality of it, we're just not putting it all in one place. And the reason it's coming up is that there's somebody who's gone absolutely bananas on this, I think, against the city of Plain. And they're just, and the SAO is very aware of it.
Peterson.
Well,
Is that,
I mean, it's been reported a lawsuit against Blaine, but it doesn't have anything to do with the OPMA, so.
yeah,
I think the guy, he's from Blaine. So
He's
where-
from Blaine.
From Blaine, where he's doing that, I'm not sure.
okay.
Blaine.
What does it say?
Who is it?
Is there anything else for the good of the order for, commission?
Nothing, no, I don't think so. I need to bake this person some
Okay,
cookies.
it's about 10:18, I think, call the meeting to close. Thank you.
Thanks, commissioners.